From Lalate headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons Lalate.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. In this new recording, direct from Santa Monica, California, where the weather is beautiful today, we're going to go over the Build Back Better Act of the BBB passed in the House of Representatives in the month of November and now in the Senate. But is there an opportunity to get a big sum of money into your hand before the BBB goes to the finish line? We'll analyze the recon and the new alternatives across the board. The recon passed in November. Now in the Senate has lots of checks in there, upwards of $50,000, the biggest payout you ever seen in the history of this channel. The Senate changes would add in an MSC on top of that, and that's on top of the $15,000 of checks that you want in that recon and third stimulus repeated under fourth stimulus. But what are the opportunities to get money outright today, like student loan debt forgiveness, without the need of a recon? And what about fifth stimulus? Could some of that money go out today without the need of a fifth stimulus recon? Oh boy, do we have a brand new slate of programming today in this recording. Then we turn to the incredible money you need to know across the board that is available for executive action, not executive order. But does it involve going into the Treasury and grabbing wads of cash? Can the president send out an MSC? And what are the opportunities to give my people on benefits like SSI and SSDI more money starting next month? Oh boy, this is getting exciting. It's brand new and it's only on Afternoons LA today, direct from Santa Monica, California. Meantime, new confusion as the UN General Assembly Security Council sees new words of war between Ukraine and the United States. And we have new confusion about whether there's 5 interest rate spikes in the year 2022. Oh boy, are we heating up with a lot of breaking details. Those details and more coming up in a big Afternoons recording. And the latest from Jalopal, Bernie, Chuck, and the President of the United States on your money. This is Afternoons Lalate. And here we go. The recon has a lot of checks in there. Repeating back third stimulus with that $45,000 and the big money already in there at $15,000 before those Senate changes would come that would add in an MSC. I'm going to go over all those incredible details in today's recording. Plus, we'll be going to that student loan debt forgiveness, the offer on the table for that, and what you need to know about fifth stimulus in the face of Omicron, which continues to spread and impacts U.S. inflationary rates. I'll go over the latest details on that. And can that fifth stimulus be done by executive order? Oh my goodness, those incredible details as we go into a big recording, a lot of breaking news. Plus, is the vice president up for a consideration for Supreme Court justice? And what is happening with Kristen Sinema and her campaign donations in the face of her difficulty with provisions across this recon? All those incredible details coming up in today's recording. We have a lot of breaking news. I'm excited you're here. And with that, thank you for joining the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America. You're watching it right now, but have you subscribed? You need to. Go right on this video right now and subscribe. You're watching LLA, the number 3 most watched financial news channel in the United States. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP, and join us on Evenings LA coming up later tonight. That's also a brand new recording across the board. The recon, the Build Back Better Act of the BBB, passed in the House back in the month of November, has thousands of checks in there thousands of dollars of checks in there, upwards of $60,000. We're going to examine those incredible checks starting right now. Get your pen and paper ready because this is the big payday you've been waiting for. And it is getting exciting with incredible great news across the board in today's recording. Brand new details happening right now as Joe Biden wants that money to go out. But I first want to go over these checks in this recon. Are you ready? Okay, so there is at least $15,000 of checks across this incredible recon. Before we start adding things in there, 3 clusters, 3 add-ons. Let's examine the incredible money. Again, we're starting with a benchmark of at least $15,000 to $60,000 before we start adding money in there. It has 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. Cluster number 1 got in there. The hazard pay for essential workers, 1 more year. Earned income tax credit, learn it at irs.gov. The money for elder care got in there, $4,000 a year. $4,000 a care for young children. $550 check for the Pell Grant recipients. $12,500 checks for the purchase of a new electric vehicle. Checks to repair your home are in there as well. $65 per month for nutrition checks are in there. And the $3,600 checks per year are in there for the CTC. A lot of checks before we go to even the next cluster. But guess what? We have add-ons. And that first add-on of checks has a wonderful surprise. $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. Maxine Waters got it in there. It's a little bit less. And she wanted to get it out the door. She did. She got that provision added in there. She's an incredible legislator from here in Southern California. This is money given from the seller, from the federal government to the seller in your name at the time of escrow for the purchase of your first home. Wow, that is incredible. Which tees up now the question of what is in that second cluster. We got a lot of checks. Have you seen how many checks we got in this recording? We just getting started. Stay to the very end. I have lots of checks in this recording, and I'll show you how you get thousands of dollars today. Yes, today, later in this video. Cluster number 2 has home repairs and the paid leave. How much is that paid leave? It's a lot of money, folks. $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. If you make $30,000 or more per year, it is $800 a week. If you make $15,000 or more per year, it is $400 a week. How many weeks? 4 to 6 weeks per year. Wow. W-2, 1099, you get it. You qualify for these incredible sums of money. Now, if you don't work, but your son or daughter does, then they're going to get the check if they have to take you to the doctor once a week, if they are part of your incredible household. That is huge, which tees us up then for the second add-on of checks. It comes from the incredible Bob Casey, and he got it in there. It's $250 billion for free home health care for seniors and people on disabilities. Wow. This is a campaign promise from Joe Biden, and Bob Casey got it in there. Which brings us then to the third cluster of checks. Are you ready? I am. Wow, that third cluster is right around the corner. And what is it? Here we go. In that third cluster, we have in there seniors and free internet. Free internet checks, money for the farmers, money for the independent contractors, free school meals for all checks, then cheaper prescription medication checks, and then seniors. 2 provisions added on the House side and 3 coming on the Senate side. On the House side, they got in there the Medicaid gap fix, Medicaid gap fix and hearing, but the Senators vowed to add in their dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare from 65 to 55. Wow. That's consistent with what we're looking at when we're talking about the other add-on, the third add-on. You know what it is. If you're in the live chat right now, write in the live chat. That third add-on at checks is called, my friends, MSC. MSC. What does that stand for? What is it? How much is it? Who gets it? When do you get it? How do you get it? I'm going to go over all those incredible details right now, and boy, is it deliciousness. So MSC refers to multiple IRS stimulus checks. There are multiple checks in this recon. So the difference is that the recon checks, Build Back Better Act, which we're going over right now, has upwards of $15,000 to $60,000 of multiple checks. But this MSC are checks that only go out from IRS. That's why we call them MSCs, monthly IRS stimulus checks. Okay, so who gets it? Well, the senators have told tens of thousands of viewers of this channel since the month of May 2021 that you would get it if you got a third stimulus check. What are the eligibilities for third stimulus checks? Let's go over and recap that right now. Third stimulus checks eligibility would be repeated under fourth stimulus, and that was the following. Single individual, 75,000 or less annual income, you got it, and you get it again. Married couple, 150,000 or less annual income, you get it. Family of four, quadruple it, you get it as well. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, relevant benefits, you get it as well. The adult dependents would also get that fourth stimulus check. It's not income, it's not taxable, it's offered nationwide, so no state would not pay you that money out the door. And then the question is, how does it get paid? It goes off of that last tax return. So that last tax return had a direct deposit account on file with IRS. That's how you'd get paid. How much is it? Well, those legislators have told tens of thousands of viewers of this channel that it will be paid $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for up to 6 months. And that, my friends, is MSC. Now, when would MSC get added in there? And is there an opportunity to do MSC or a part of MSC by another body of legislation or by executive order or not? We're going to examine all those details, some of which are brand new in today's recording. Stay with me to the very end because we have a lot of checks coming up in just a second. The Build Back Better Act passed in the House of Representatives back in November. It's now in the Senate. And the Senate would add provisions to that, including the MSC, during step one, which is when the Senate would send the proposed legislation to the subcommittees of the Senate, adding provisions already to the thousands of pages in the Build Back Better Act passed by the House. If you're watching a recording on this channel that says 2021 update, this was the 2021 House bill. Everything that's in there is staying in there. The 2022 update is what the senators would add on top of that. Now, that would be the Senate subcommittee. Then off to the Senate floor with an actual bill. Vote, done. Then off to a Senate's two-day vote-a-rama. Vote and done there. And that is the Build Back Better Act. That's how it happens across the board. Now, is there opportunities to get money out sooner rather than later? Yes. There is always the opportunity to take a stimulus check, take it out of the Build Back Better Act, and send it out in a different body of legislation. It doesn't negate the Build Back Better Act. So let me make it clear, because I've seen some interesting comments in the last few days where someone says, if they put it out earlier, then we're not going to get anything in the Build Back Better Act. No, not the case. It's just a way to get something removed from it and put out earlier in a different body of legislation. So what do you want to look for in another body of legislation? You want something that's bipartisan, does not need a recon, has a deadline, and goes quickly. And what is that? It's CR for stimulus. What is CR for stimulus? How does it work? And when was it first debuted on this channel? It was debuted on this channel in a creation by me in 2020. In 2020, we were just finishing first stimulus and waiting for a new proposed body of legislation, thousands of pages in length, called the second stimulus package. It's a package because it's thousands of pages in length. The proponents were the Democrats. The negotiators, Nancy Pelosi on behalf of the Democrats, Steve Mnuchin on behalf of the Republicans. Negotiations started in spring of 2020, continued in summer, continued in fall, continued in winter, and still was not done. So by December 2020, I looked at the situation. I said, we have a problem here. We've had months of negotiations, 11 months of it. We don't have a finish line, and also we don't have an urgency, like a deadline. I said, I need something that has a deadline to it. So I looked high and low in December 2020 for something that has a deadline to it, that we could get a check out to the American people without this package. And I found it. A continuing resolution, CR. There's a lot of different names for it, but one of the names is continuing resolution. Every few months, the federal government must do a bill that funds the federal government. It's often called the continuing resolution. It's money to run the national parks and run the federal buildings. Guess what? It has an inherent deadline to it. They can extend a few days or a week, but they can't extend it for months because the federal government will default, go bankrupt. They don't let the federal government go defaulting out the door because it's no bueno. So they meet that deadline, both Republicans and Democrats. So I prepared my recording in December 2020 to report to the viewership of the channel that there's an opportunity, a window of opportunity to take a stimulus check out, put it into a CR, and to advocate for it across this channel. But I knew there was going to be naysayers, so I had to prepare both the advocacy and the reaction to the naysayers before I made the recording. And then the recording went on this channel, and a lot of them thereafter. In 2020, I told viewers of this channel in December of that year, here's the opportunity, hashtag C Charles R. Robert for stimulus. put a stimulus check in the December 2020 continuing resolution because, one, it has a deadline. Two, they're going to get it done December or January. It means you're going to get a check in December or January. And three, there's no inherent guidance and assurances that the second stimulus will become a law. The continuing resolution, become law. Viewers love the idea. The purple power of this channel loved the idea because it was a deadline, hard and fast. You wouldn't have to hold up and wait for any more negotiations, and it would go by bipartisan, and it would be a 30-day turnaround. So we advocated. And as soon as I mentioned on camera, Purple Power loved it, and the critics hated it. What do they say? Exactly what I thought they were going to say. Continuing resolution, stimulus check in the continuing resolution. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't belong in there. The continuing resolution, LA, is about the money for the federal government. It's not about the money for the American people. I was ready for my reaction. My reaction? You're exactly correct. It doesn't belong in there. That doesn't mean you can't put it in there. Since the beginning of time, Congress has been passing legislation where they put money into the legislation that doesn't belong in there. And they had done it during the pandemic. During the start of the very first stimulus package, we had COVID relief bills that were sending money to foreign military governments. We had COVID relief bills that were proposing new federal buildings. We had COVID relief bills that were giving money to the Department of Copyrights. Why not put a stimulus check in there? And we pushed. And one morning we woke up and suddenly we heard they're putting stimulus in the CR. We thought we had it until we listened carefully. It was the wrong stimulus. Goodness, it was unemployment stimulus. So we pushed back again. And then suddenly it was in there. A $600 stimulus check was put in the continuing resolution because of my creation on this channel. It became law because the deadline of the CR was watched and not passed up. Done in December, checks out in December, arrived in December and January. And guess what also happened? Second stimulus package never went to the finish line. There never was a second stimulus package law, nor a second stimulus check ever. What you got was the CR for stimulus, covered on this channel. So one Saturday ago, I said, do you want to bring it back in 2022? Here's why it makes sense to bring CR for stimulus back on this channel. One, it's been 11 months of negotiations. Then it's 11 months of negotiations now for four stimulus. Number two, it's been two people negotiating now, like 2 months, two people negotiating back in 2020. And number three, there's a February 2022 deadline to get CR done again. You want to do it? Viewership said yes. And in recent days, we've seen the importance of why the CR for stimulus makes a lot more sense. In the second half of this video, we're going to go over why the CR for stimulus makes more sense today than it did a week ago when I first debuted it on this channel. Then we'll go over whether the president can do executive orders for MFC, whether he can do executive orders for any money, and can the president do fifth stimulus for my SSI and SSDI and get you money out within 30 days from now. I'll have all the details of what the president's abilities are to put money in your wallet within less than 30 days. You're going to be surprised. It's brand new on Afternoons LA starting right now. Then we'll be going back in those incredible provisions of the Build Back Better Act and those checks, lots of checks that are in there, upwards of $60,000. But we'll be turning to the confusion at hand that is really, really problematic. As we see inflationary concerns, Federal Reserve proposing potentially 5 interest rate spikes this year. The new comments that came in from the UN Security Council yesterday from Moscow versus the United States on the Ukraine-Russia issue really causing big trouble. I went to fill up the gas tank today, $5 a gallon. Yeah, we have oil and gas prices. We have inflation. We have Omicron inflation. We have consumer sentiment numbers. All very not good news. So how does this wrap together, and how does it mean we have to watch our money? It's coming up in the second half of this video. Plus, of course, we'll go over all these incredible checks this recon, and we'll show you how CR for stimulus can go over the finish line, and how the president can get other sums of money. It's coming up in just a second as Afternoons LA returns with a lot of breaking news on this big recording today. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance,
and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join Lalate Daily for the excitement of the new Lalate live daily. The excitement starts on mornings Lalate at 9 a.m. Home Lalate returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons Lalate at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on Lalate.
And the excitement continues right now as Afternoons LA continues direct from Santa Monica, California with incredible great news about CR for stimulus. The ability by the President of the United States to get money out the door. I'll have the latest details you've never seen before those Senate changes kick in. And this could be big money. The money you've been looking for under the recon still happening. I'll have all those incredible checks. And the $45,000, a third stimulus, well, guess what? You can get some of that money this week, today. I'll show you how to get it. Student loan debt forgiveness, the latest details on that, plus fifth stimulus. New indication today about how fifth stimulus could happen in your wallet this week or next month without the need of a recon or a stimulus package. It's a lot of details, it's a lot of information, and it's a lot of money. And it's all coming up in the second half of this video. And with that, I want you to subscribe. You're watching LA, the #3 most watched financial news channel in America. Hit that subscribe button right now. Tell your friends and family to come on over because this is the channel where people are getting millions of dollars every day. Viewers of this channel since start over a year and a half ago have gotten over $50 million. The complete calculation coming up in just a few days as this channel approaches its anniversary. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member to get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday and again tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And with that, we go into the big second half of this big Afternoons LA broadcast, direct from Santa Monica, where we left off at that CR for stimulus analysis. Well, a lot of details, and the details continue right now. CR for stimulus first delivered on this channel no less than a week ago, when I said it makes sense because it happens sooner. Now it's making sense because the Build Back Better Act is getting a little bit heated. Yeah. In the last 48 hours, we've seen no less than Pramila Jayapal, head of the Progressive Caucus, Bernie Sanders, head of the Progressives in the Senate, and the President's Chief of Staff all coming in with very disjointed analysis of the situation on the recon. That disjointedness suggests that getting money out faster under CR for stimulus makes sense. I'm going to go over what they're doing in just a second, but let's go back to the money. CR for stimulus is the concept of working outside the box. Need a check? Okay, get the check into something that's not controversial, that has a deadline, that's getting done right away. And the concept is the incredible budget bill has a deadline just a few days away from now. Now, is there anything else like that that's out there? Well, there's always the look of, really? Are you putting it in that thing? There's always that look. And one thing brand new today, you could certainly advocate for the inclusion of a stimulus check in another bill that's bipartisan, will get done, may get done by the end of this week, and is absolutely going to the finish line. What is it? Sanctions for Russia. Yeah. Sound ridiculous? It don't make it matter so long as it gets done. The UN dealt with the big problems of Russia and its potential invasion of the Ukraine yesterday. But what also happened yesterday and today is that on the Senate, there's one committee that literally looks like they're braiding each other's hair 24 hours a day. They really get along well. They're Republicans and they're Democrats, and they all get along really well. They're Bob Menendez, they're Marco Rubio, they're Republicans and Democrats, they all get along. And what are they? They are the committee that deals with foreign policy issues like sanctioning Russia. Well, as you know, Russia is potentially threatening to invade Ukraine. And this committee is likely to pass by the end of the week, if not by the end of this recording, a bill that would be law that would sanction Russia for putting almost 100,000 troops at the Ukrainian border. More about that in a second. Well, if it's going to become law and it's bipartisan, why not put a check in there for us? Makes sense? It's the same concept as CR for stimulus. We don't care what the bill is, so long as it's quick, done quick, and bipartisan, doesn't need a continuing resolution. So should we advocate for the inclusion in there? We can. That bill will become a law and may become a law by the end of the today, if not the end of the week. Now, where are the other opportunities? I love the viewership of this channel because the viewership has now thought outside the box. Viewers are now looking and saying, okay, I'm getting the messaging. We're going to get the recon done, the fourth stimulus, the Build Back Better Act. It's going to become a law. But what can we get done quicker than that? Before that wouldn't replace it, just something additionally before that. Well, there's a lot of opportunities. I'm going to go over each of those opportunities with you right now. Number one, the president can immediately come in and give you more benefits if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, and veterans benefits the following way. The president and certain agencies have a relationship. And the relationship is the president can pick up the phone and say, I encourage you to do something. And the agency can follow his encouragement or do what they want. Now, certain agencies on the U.S. government have the inherent charter agreement to do things the way they want under their guidelines. And those agencies don't need an act of Congress every time they want to change a guideline. What guideline are we talking about? COLA. Fifth stimulus is a body of legislation we've been talking on this channel for a while. A fifth stimulus recon that would start in December or January of this year and would modify the SSI Social Security Administration programs. Ironically, some of the things in there don't need a bill. They don't even need a recon. They don't need Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. They don't need a vote. They just need the president to pick up the phone and saying, you know what, change it. And one of the things they could change is the following. The president could pick up the phone and say to the Social Security Administration, you know what, remove COLA and start using inflation as the new benchmark starting next month. What's going on? COLA is your current benchmark for decades for determining how much your benefits go up year after year. COLA has been used for a very long time and it's generally been zero, and that's why your benefits don't go up year after year. But this last December it came in at 5.9% because inflation was high. So your benefits this month of January went up 5.9%. What would you like more? Your benefits to go up 5.9% or 7.5%? You'd like 7.5%, wouldn't you? Yeah. So that's inflation. The inflationary rate released by the Department of Labor not last Friday, but the Friday before that, showed that December 2021's inflationary rate was close to 8%, exactly what I predicted almost a year ago. Well, the president can pick up the phone and call the Social Administration and say, you know what, I don't like this COLA benchmark. Switch it out with inflation and use that new benchmark starting in March of 2022's checks, or April 22's checks. Done. Suddenly you get 2 to 3% more in the mail starting next month. SS200, goodbye. Hello. SS200 is never going to get to the finish line. It's not happening, but this is a lot more money than SS200, and it's overnight. It doesn't need a bill. It doesn't need an act of Congress. There you go. So that is the first opportunity for the president. Second opportunity for the president is to repurpose existing money and send it out to you. Now, this is a little bit harder. Why? Because I don't know if there is a lot of this money sitting around. The concept is very simple. The president can pick up the phone and contact one of his agencies of the federal government that has existing money sitting around for a program that has since expired and the money is no longer needed, and can instruct them to repurpose that money and send it out to you as stimulus. He has that inherent authority to do that. The only thing I don't know is if that money still is around. I covered this extensively in 2020. There were two opportunities for Donald Trump, one of which he did, the other one he didn't do. The first one he did was the following. FEMA, the agency that governs emergencies across the country, had a lot of money given to it by COVID early on. But FEMA had extra money, too much money, and the programs had expired, but the money was still there. So Donald Trump picked up the phone. Literally picked up the phone. Non-executive order picked up the phone and said, you know what, FEMA? Hi, you have extra money. We have a problem because people's unemployment benefits had a boost called FPUC. It's expired. And I can't extend FPUC, but I can instruct you to repurpose your existing money and send it out as extra money to the American people. We're going to call it LWA. It'll function like FPUC. The states will get it from you. They'll reach out to you and they'll figure out how to pay it. I'm just going to have you repurpose the money. Done. And that became LWA. Several weeks of big money for Americans in 2020. The president at the time, Donald Trump, also had another opportunity. He didn't do it, and I think it cost him the re-election. He had an additional $550 billion of money sitting at SBA. The amount was confirmed on this channel. It was confirmed by Larry Kudlow. It was confirmed in news reports left and right. It was $550 billion of money that was dedicated on COVID relief for businesses, like loans and grants. The programs had ended. The money was still there, and the money could be repurposed. For what? A lot of stimulus checks. It would have been a lot of stimulus checks, at least one or two, or at least one healthy stimulus check for you. He could have repurposed the money, sent it out before the elections happened, and he didn't. And that was a lost opportunity. This is what Joe Biden could do as well. Now, again, I do not know if this money is sitting around that can be repurposed, but he has the inherent authority to repurpose the money. The repurposing money is different than giving new guidelines that will raise people's benefits. For example, raising people's benefits with new guidelines came in October 2021 last year, where the President of the United States, Joe Biden, picked up the phone and contacted the Department of Agriculture saying, you're not paying enough money for food, for SNAP. Pay more money. That's all he did was by telephone. And that's why they're paying 25% more lifetime because of that phone call. Finally, let's do the things that the president can't do and the things that don't help you across the board. I always love when viewers think outside the box, but don't say something emphatically unless you're certain that it works. And more importantly, if you're a viewer of this channel, a subscriber, a member, and you know the answer and you see someone post something that you know cannot be done, is unlawful, remind the person, can't do it. Don't advocate for something that's unlawful. First, can Joe Biden grab a wad of cash out of the Department of Treasury and send it out as a stimulus check or MSE? No. The President of the United States cannot do executive orders of stimulus checks. I've made this recording for almost 2 years, and yet people still say it. It's absolutely 100% untrue. Now, let's make this very clear. When the money is coming from Department of Treasury is what I'm referring to. The money is sitting in the Department of Treasury. Can the president walk in there with a wheelbarrow, fill up some cash, and throw it out in the mail? He cannot. Absolutely cannot. It doesn't matter if it's one check. Doesn't matter if it's MSCs. Now, can the president walk over to SBA and say, "Oh, I see you have a lot of cash there, and you don't need it anymore. I'm going to send this out for stimulus checks"? Yes, he can do that because it's not in Department of Treasury. It's in Department of SBA. Totally different. That's what's opportunity across the board. Number two, how about these other bills like the Boost Act? These things make no sense, and I don't know why someone would ever say something like that. The Boost Act is a very partisan bill. Partisan bills do not pass. They need to go by recon. And if you want to send something by recon, you have to go through the whole process. And you want to do something by recon, why would you start a new recon when you already have a recon? So remember, can't do executive order for money out of Department of Treasury, and don't want to do a new bill because the new bill is partisan, won't get out the door. But I love when viewers think outside the box. All right, let's go back into why CR for stimulus makes more sense today than it did a week ago. It's because of these strange, wacko comments coming in from progressives. In the Democratic Party, you have two wings. We have the progressives like Bernie, Jolipal, and you have the moderates like Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. And in the House, Gothenheimer. Now, the moderate Democrats have certain provisions. They went in the recon. Okay. Any of them bad? No, they're all fine. There's nothing bad about any of them. The progressives want certain provisions of the recon. Anything bad in there? No, they're all fine. So why would you have a feud? Why would you pick a fight with your fellow Democrat on the other side of the Democratic caucus over a provision in the recon that doesn't hurt anyone? It's not a good look. And what does it cause? It causes the concern that maybe the recon is in jeopardy because you're going after a provision the other side of your party says must be in there or they're voting against the recon. Let's recap. Bernie Sanders says, I must get dental, vision, hearing, lowering the eligibility age of Medicare. I must get all those provisions in there or I'm not voting for the recon. Okay, that's Bernie Sanders' position as a progressive. Let's go to the moderate Democrats in the House. Moderate Democrats in the House, not just one of them, a couple, like half a dozen, said, I must have the SALT cap in there or I'm not voting in favor of the recon. Are any of those provisions hurtful to anyone? No, they're all very, very helpful provisions for you, me, everyone. So why would you go after someone's provision that's good? And why would you say something negative about it? That was the bad look that started over a week ago. It started, however, far more than a week ago. In November and December, we were hearing from Pramila Jayapal, head of the Progressive Caucus, that the chief of staff to the President of the United States, the number one guy in the White House after the president, Ron Klain, spelled K-L-A-I-N, was really going after moderate Democrats. He was issuing basically what you call hit pieces, negative press releases about Joe Manchin to press every single day. It happened all throughout the month of December. It was very bad. Do you do that with people in your own party? No. You do that with the other party. You don't do that with people in your own party. That was number one. Number two. Then we had Bernie Sanders really do one of the worst things I've seen him ever do with this recon since the beginning. He said no less than 48 hours ago that the moderate Democrats provision, which is the SALT cap, had been removed. It had not been removed. The negotiations had taken it out. Negotiations not happen. And they said the SALT cap is to make rich people very rich and hurt everyone else. It doesn't. And what happened from that? Everything you expect negative happened from that. People who are neither progressives nor moderates, but are also Democrats, came after Bernie Sanders saying, you know what, you're just being hypocritical. You said you wanted that provision in there, and now you say you don't want the provision in there. Like Bob Menendez going after Bernie Sanders. You don't want this look. And then it got worse 24 hours ago. When Pramila Jayapal, head of the Progressive Caucus of the House, said, you know what? We have a new date for the recon vote on the recon to pass, March 1st. Really? Did you calendar it in? I don't want you to. Because guess what? Nancy Pelosi went after Pramila. Now, this is where it's getting a little, crazy. A House member against another House member from the same party. Nancy Pelosi said the date is aspirational, meaning it's a fake date. It is a fake date. Pramila Jayapal is a House member. She's not a senator. She doesn't determine when things go for a vote in the Senate, where she doesn't even work. She's not even elected to the Senate. The person who determines that is Chuck Schumer. And what is Pramila Jayapal doing between now and March 1st? Nothing but being part of this effort to really trash talk the moderate Democrats. Not a good look. So that's why CR for stimulus is needed more than ever before. Now, will CR for stimulus negatively impact the recon? No. It's just to get those monies you need right now. And the concept is just put a stimulus check in the continuing resolution, get it out right now, and then come back and finish the Build Back Better Act thereafter. But let's go over those incredible checks of that Build Back Better Act right now and show you how you can get thousands of dollars this week. Now, the Build Back Better Act has a lot of incredible checks in there, and they are the SALT cap, which we just went over. There is the cheaper prescription medication, starting at 20 medications day one, growing to 30 medications by year 2028. Medicare Part D, C, B, cancer, arthritis, diabetes, the most expensive medication, dramatically sliced and diced and reduced in price. Job training, $40 billion of checks to get you a higher paying job, free checks to get you free job training to get a higher paying job. They got the Medicaid gap fix in there, providing 12 holdout states a workaround plan that provide years of subsidized private insurance to uninsured people in those states. They got the $65 per month for nutrition for people who are students who are not in school, the $550 check for the Pell Grant recipients, the CTC check, the Earned Income Tax Credit check, the Child Care Credit check, the electric vehicle check, and a lot of other checks across the board. But one of the best provisions of checks in this recon is, of course, the housing. It has two new checks in there, home repairs in a low-income community, and also weatherize your home. But the other checks are repeat from third stimulus. Now let's go over what's going on here. Fourth stimulus that's not law repeats third stimulus. So why would you wait for fourth stimulus to get these big checks when you can get them right today, when there are funds still available for the third stimulus? I'm going to show you how right now. third stimulus was first debuted on this channel about December 2020. I told you in January or February 2021, we were going to see third stimulus become a law, and it was going to have the single biggest payout for the viewership of this channel ever in the history of this channel. $15,000 of housing assistance at the time. We focused, you focused. As soon as it became law, the average viewer of this channel got $45,000 from the first round. First round is basically when they made the first phone call in January when it became law. You pounce as a Purple Hawk, you got this money right away. Viewership that listened really carefully got another round during the summer of 2021. But most viewers got another big round last month. We call it Christmas or Santa stimulus. Pick up the phone and say, I need more rent. I need more mortgage assistance. The great news, you can get another round today. We're going to go over what this money is first, where you get it second, and then what these rounds mean thereafter. First, we're going to go over the rent and get that pen and paper ready. If you're a member of the channel, pull out the membership newsletter. And if you're not, consider becoming a member. The link is under the video. When we talk about the rent, there is a lot of it, upwards of $40,000 for rent. This is a graphic back in the month of October. It's grown a lot. So where do you get this money for rent? Here we go. Follow along with the newsletter if you're a member. If you're not, become a member today. You get it from the following 6 places: City Hall, City House Authority; County Hall, County House Authority; State Hall, and State House Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. 3 must, you must do. You must get application on file everywhere. You must get reach out to all 6 places, and you must do multiple rounds. What are those rounds? I'll explain that in 1 second. Next, reach out to all utility companies and ask for utility assistance because of COVID. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $15,000 a year. Next, reach out to SNAP and get that money for food. As you heard, it went up 25% lifetime. Mark's brother-in-law is getting $25,000 a year because of my recordings. That's $250,000 he's getting because of Lalate over the next 10 years. Then get combo items. Here is what Nisi got. She got 3 items at $23,000. Mark was at 2 items at $32,000. I said, Mark, Nisi and Art Sullivan have inspired us to get 3 items. Go get your third. He did. Brought him to $50,000. Now he's got other items. Brought him over to $100,000. Lorraine, she was at $105. Now she's at $120. So what are these additional rounds that you want to get? Let's go over the details of it right now. We're in January 2022, and I want you to pick up the phone and contact the last agency that paid you out money and ask for another round. We're in January. Try for now to May 2022. They say it's too far, then try April, then try March. Try as far as you can. They say out of money, then lean on the nonprofits. They'll replenish every January based upon their benefactors, so you can get those big sums of money right now. I want you to get that money as far out as in the future as possible. And if you've had success stories sent to me on private messaging, I know I've seen about 3 or 4 of them come in the last few hours. I will feature them live on air or taped on air tomorrow. But keep on sending them those incredible success stories for these latest rounds for viewers across the board. A lot of other breaking news I want to go over with you right now that impacts your wallet, impacts your finances. And we're starting with that UN debacle that happened yesterday. There was a big meeting in the United Nations Security Council in New York yesterday. And during this during this Real Housewives reunion, I mean, that's what it looked like. It looked like people coming for each other's weaves. It was the United States versus Russia. And U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield, said that Russia is in violation of UN agreements and needs to be sanctioned. And this is what she said. Russia's actions strike at the very heart of the UN Charter. There's a clear and consequential threat to security and peace as anyone can imagine. The latest situation is the following. 100,000 Russian troops are now at the Ukrainian eastern border and also on the Ukrainian northern border with Belarus. This is as Russia reassured the UN Council that it's not looking to invade. We just happen to have 100,000 troops at the border. They're just there shopping. What are they doing there? They're picking daisies. Come off already. It's just not believable. Russia UN Ambassador Vladimir Nebensky said this is unacceptable interference with domestic affairs of our state, but also an attempt to mislead the international community about the situation of the regime in the region. He didn't explain why there are 100,000 troops there at the border that were not there, last week. of course, it's just interference with our situation. You understand? Yeah, but we'll explain what it is. All right, that's the first situation. This is causing disruption of what you'd expect. Oil and gas. Russia, Ukraine is all an oil play. A lot of the world's oil supply comes out of Russia and Ukraine. And if you go to fill up the gas pump in Los Angeles, it's $5 a gallon in your cheapest gas station for basic regular gasoline. If you're in the live chat right now, post what the price of gasoline is worth for you right now. This is causing gasoline inflation. And you know what happens with gasoline inflation? Yeah, the 1970s. Is the Supreme Court nomination pool, including Vice President Harris? It is not. This is a Republican fake narrative trying to confuse the situation. So VP Harris has already said she is not in consideration for the Supreme Court post. She doesn't want it. The White House confirms the same thing as well. So does her spokesperson. So we're now learning where this is coming from. It's coming from Republicans who want you to think that Joe Biden is dropping Harris from his ticket for re-election. Is Kristen Sinema's donations drying up? Interesting question. Well, her corporate donations through December 2021 last month were the highest ever and actually topped most other senators. They were absolutely through the roof. But personal donation numbers came in today, and they were dismal. They are the lowest of anything we've ever seen. This is because of her positions on a lot of policies that impact the viewership of this channel. Meantime, are Arizona and Wyoming considering taking cryptocurrency for you to pay their bills? They are. This is really surprising across the board. But what I want to talk about more importantly is this quadruple, even more than quadruple whammo that's looming with inflation, interest rate spikes, Omicron inflation, and consumer sentiment not good as of last Friday. I got to go over this with you right now. We deal with messiness sometimes on this channel, but we rarely deal with multiple messiness at the same time. That's happening right now, and it's making me a little bit antsy. First issue was we had inflation before Omicron, which came around Halloween last year. That inflation was caused by the Federal Reserve buying mortgage-backed bonds and supporting the economy during even the end of last year. It should stop that, but it didn't, so it created inflation. And at the time, I said inflation was going to be 8% in December 2021. Federal Reserve said it was going to be 1% to 2%. So the Federal Reserve was doing something it should not have been doing and was undervaluing how high inflation was going to be in December 21. It got two things wrong. Okay, that was then. Then Omicron came around, which no one could have predicted Omicron to come around. But as soon as it did, what did Omicron really do? It took people out of the workforce. People were at home sick. So suddenly staffs of business were down to 20% of staff. Okay, at that point, the Federal Reserve should have realized we're going to have additional Omicron inflation or Omicron caused inflation that we didn't have before Omicron. Well, we do. And that Omicron situation is not going away. Remember, the Federal Reserve all throughout last year said inflation was going to be temporary 1 month. It wasn't temporary before Omicron, as I reported. And now Omicron, which is at this point not going away either, is keeping this inflation going further out. So what is the Federal Reserve doing? Federal Reserve has announced one interest rate spike for March. Okay. What is an interest rate spike and how does it impact you? It impacts anything you pay on debt. Your credit card debt, your electric bill if you pay on interest, anything that has interest attached to it, it'll be more. How much? Well, 1/4 of a percentage point in March. Not a big impact on you. This is where it becomes a little bit, I don't want to say scary, but a little bit nerve-wracking. We were talking about just 4 months ago, maybe one interest rate spike in this entire year at the end of the year. And I said, no, I think it's coming in the first quarter of this year. That was my prediction. It's right. But I could not have predicted what I'm about to report to you now. There are reports that the Federal Reserve is considering not one, not two, but 5 interest rate spikes this year at 1/4 percentage points each. 5 times 1/4 is more than 1%. Yeah. So if you're paying, let's say 3% on something, suddenly it could be 4%. If you're paying 15%, it could be 16%. This is a big whammo, and this could hurt growth of the economy. Now, there's some reports that say the Federal Reserve may consider 7 interest rate spikes this year. Folks, this is getting a little bit dicey. This comes as we don't have inflation under control. We're coming in at a time in which the data from last Friday was not good either. Consumer price sentiment is not good. People's wages went up more this year, but their cost of goods went up more than their wages, meaning it still costs them a lot more to buy the product. And guess what? We still don't have Belarus, we still don't have Ukraine and Russia resolved. We have Omicron not going away. So this may take a little bit of time, and for the Federal Reserve coming in and raising your interest rates at the same time as trying to fix your inflation, dicey, very, very dicey. I'll feature more about it tonight on Evenings LA. But if you have questions or comments about other programs you think make sense for the president to send out money, send me those comments as well. Remember, don't advocate for something that we've already removed as not a possibility. MSC by executive order, not possible if the money's coming from the Department of Treasury. Stimulus check from the president by executive order, not possible. Don't advocate for something that does not exist. Also, don't advocate for something that is partisan, because remember, partisan legislation cannot pass across the board. Together as a family, we will get over the finish line, and we will be informed and educated along the way. Coming up next is Evenings LA, a brand new show at 5 o'clock, and then Evenings Countdown at 6. Stream Stimulus at 7, and then Evenings Extra at 8 o'clock. And with that, subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with Lalate for more.